Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View for Tracy's Point, and we are here with part 9, I believe we're up to, of the R. Kelly series. And we are here today to talk about Faith Rodgers. So, guys, if you watched the video last week that I did, which was part 8 of the R. Kelly series called Trust Me, I'm Lying, it was actually, I was reviewing this book by this guy named Ryan Holiday, where he basically breaks down how these news stories and news cycles get put out on the media. And so, what was interesting about this story, I was on Google yesterday because if you're following the R. Kelly saga, you know that he had to go to court yesterday where he was supposed to have been requesting permission to go to Dubai, as well as entering a motion for discovery to get copies of the videos that the prosecutors are charging him with, as well as other evidence. So, as I was searching for information on the court case, I came across this story via the Daily Mail, and they were talking about Faith Rodgers, and that R. Kelly dodged a bullet because he was supposed to be in court in New York with this Faith Rodgers chick on this preliminary hearing. And so I was like, okay, but that case was thrown out. Why is there a preliminary hearing? So I click on the article, and it turns out that Faith Rodgers has actually sued R. Kelly in a civil suit, alleging that he raped her over a 1 year period and that he gave her herpes and everything. And so they went on to say that, they had to delay her hearing and that she's suffered this major setback because her attorney was arrested. And so today, when I decided to go ahead and do the video covering this story, I was surprised that I couldn't bring up the article. So I put in Faith Rodgers. Article didn't come up. It was like information from back when she did the press conference with Gloria Allred. And so then I remembered that I had saved the link. And so I went, pulled up the link, and the story came open. And so what I wanted to point out is that this is an example of what Ryan Holiday was talking about in his books. So there's obviously this thing to push this narrative about R. Kelly in a negative light, supporting the alleged victims, and they don't want the public to get hold of these stories that say that something has happened that isn't furthering the cause. So in this case, it's a setback for the civil suit. And so I went in and then I did a search based on the last 24 hours, trying to see if this Daily Mail article came up. It still didn't come up. There were like 2 or 3 other bloggers that had kind of picked up the story, but they were unknown bloggers, little known sites. And so just wanted to point that out to you, that what I was telling you in that Trust Me, I'm Lying video is actually true. You may remember, or you may not remember, is one of the women who claims that she had a relationship with R. Kelly and that he abused her during a relationship. And if you think back to January, Faith Rodgers appeared in a press conference with Gloria Allred, and I believe she was with the mother of Dominique Gardner, as well as the mother of Jocelyn Savage may have been there, and possibly the mother of Azriel Clary. I know there were like 3 or 4 women there. But anyway, Faith Rodgers claims that R. Kelly flew her from her hometown to New York for one of his concerts or something, and that he raped her allegedly, and that he infected her with herpes. Well, the after they did the press conference, the U.S. Attorney's Office, because guys, if you follow Gloria Allred, for some reason she likes to file cases with the New York U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District, or the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York Eastern District, however it goes. But anyway, this was one of those cases. So after they did this press conference, the police or the feds or whomever came out and said that They had already disposed of this case with this Faith Rodgers woman because there wasn't enough evidence, and because both her and R. Kelly were adults at the time, that there was no way to tell who was telling the truth, and so they were not going to pursue the case. So let's go ahead and get into what actually happened with Faith Rodgers' civil suit. Well, actually, her suit has basically been put on hold because her lawyer, Lydia Agu, who's a beautiful African American woman, was convicted in court the other day, and her sentencing, I believe, was set for yesterday at the same time of this preliminary hearing. So, according to the Daily Mail, Lydia Agu represents Faith Rodgers, who filed a lawsuit last year against R. Kelly, claiming he raped her and infected her with herpes. And let's stick a pin right there because I want to talk about this whole herpes situation. So we got all these women coming out saying that R. Kelly infected them with herpes. Now, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I do know that there's a large, I'm going to look that up. I'll get back to the herpes thing at the end of the video because I want to talk to y'all about that. So anyway, earlier this week, Agu was found guilty of federal obstruction charges and is now facing up to 40 years in prison. 40, guys. That's a lot of time for this young woman, who's an attorney. Obviously, I'm thinking she's a pretty good attorney, but she done got herself caught up in some nonsense. And so her eviction was handed down on the same day Kelly and his lawyers were due to appear in New York in a New York courtroom for a preliminary hearing in the case. Agu was found guilty after she worked with a client to hide the proceeds from the sale of 4 properties from the government. I'm not fooling with the government when it comes to money because they have ways of tracing these things. And so it says that the client of Agu's owed millions in restitution due to a 2010 wire fraud conviction, and Agu lied to U.S. attorney when asking that the lien be taken off of the properties, or a lien be taken off of the properties. So I guess the government had frozen the assets as part of this case. And so then she also further got in trouble with the FBI because it turned out that she was also a licensed real estate broker, and that she had represented these people and earned money from the sale of these 4 properties, even though she was the attorney on the case. And so they just done got her all caught up and tied up in this situation. And so I really feel sorry for the sister that she's going through this and that she's facing this jail time. But anyway, she had to put in a motion, of course, withdrawing herself as the attorney on the Faith Rodgers case. And so I'm thinking with Faith Rodgers, you may want to let this go because you already the criminal stuff, they said you didn't have enough evidence, so they threw that out. Now this has happened. Like, this might be God intervening on your behalf, Faith, trying to keep you out of trouble. So let this whole R. Kelly thing go. So now let me talk about this herpes situation. So let's go to the Center for Disease Controls and get us some education on herpes, since we got all these women out here claiming that R. Kelly done gave them herpes. So according to the CDC, genital herpes is a common sexually transmitted disease that any sexually active person can get. Most people with the virus don't have symptoms. Even without signs of the disease, herpes can still be spread to sex partners. So we have these people coming out saying that R. Kelly infected them with herpes, but some of these people are married, okay? Some of these people have been in and out of relationships. So does this mean that all their partners have herpes also, or are they on medication for their herpes so that they don't transmit it to other people? Like, what's going on? Because the way the streets are talking, R. Kelly, Usher, and somebody else out there, is like really spreading herpes around. According to the CDC, genital herpes is common in the United States. More than 1 out of every 6 people aged 14 to 49 years of age have genital herpes. 1 in 6. And so it says genital herpes is spread. You can get genital herpes by having vaginal, anal, or oral sex with someone who has the disease. If you do not have herpes, you can get infected if you come into contact with the herpes virus in one, a herpes sore, two, saliva, if your partner has an oral herpes infection, or genital secretions if your partner has a genital herpes infection. And then three, skin in the oral area of your partner has an oral herpes infection, or skin in the genital area of your partner has a genital herpes infection. And then it says you can get herpes from a sex partner who does not have a visible sore or who may not know he or she is infected. It is also possible to get genital herpes if you receive oral sex from a sex partner who has oral herpes. Okay, so I guess there was some sexing going on. So it's very possible that he has given herpes to all these people. But this is my question. With HIV, so when you get tested for HIV and you're determined to be positive from HIV, they then ask you for a list of all your sexual partners so that these people can be notified. Do they do that with herpes? Like, is there some legislation that say you have to notify all your sex partners to find out, to notify them that you've been diagnosed with herpes? Because it seems to me that if you are sexually active and you were sexually active before you met this person, how do you know that you aren't the one that gave them the herpes, or that you already had the herpes and you just hadn't had a outbreak? Like, I'm trying to figure out, how do you prove in a court of law that somebody gave you herpes if you are a sexually active person? Like, when they go to trial, do they then everybody have to get tested? Like, can the judge order R. Kelly to be tested for herpes? And then what happens if it comes back that he doesn't have it? Do they automatically throw out the case? How does any of this work? But anyway, that was just a little sidebar conversation. I just wanted to come and let you guys know that Faith Rodgers is having a hell of a time trying to get some charges against R. Kelly, trying to get some civil suits. I don't know why she's trying to sue R. Kelly, because R. Kelly has said that he has no money. So guys, go ahead and let me know, what do you think about Lydia Agu, this young black attorney, getting herself caught up in a situation and now facing 40 years in prison. And according to the article, supposedly they felt that they had a very strong case. They were, going to take it to trial. That they thought that a jury would find in Faith's favor and award, and give her an award, a judgment against R. Kelly that she would probably never be able to collect on. And then R. Kelly's, not passport, but R. Kelly, part of his bond is that he can't leave Chicago or leave Illinois. He might be able to leave Chicago. He can't leave Illinois. So how is he going to New York for this preliminary hearing? So how did this work out? Like, did he have permission from the court to go to New York? Because if she was supposed to be, her preliminary hearing was supposed to be at the same time he was in court in Chicago trying to get these tapes from the prosecution, which is a video within itself as to why the prosecution think they can be withholding evidence from the defendant and not give him evidence so that he can prepare for his trial is a story on its own. But anyway, was R. Kelly even planning on going to New York? Had they notified R. Kelly and his attorney that they didn't have to come to New York because this lady was on trial? And they say that the verdict was handed down on Friday, so there had to have been a trial. So this lady had to have been on, this had to have been something that was ongoing, and she knew that she couldn't properly represent Faith Rodgers if she was having legal problems of her own. Like, she had to have been arrested, right? She had to have gone through discovery hearings herself. So, how long had this lady known that she was facing these charges that she was found guilty of? How long did the trial last? Was it like a 1 day trial? Did she go in there and plead guilty? We the people got questions, okay? As the if Faith Rodgers was in January being represented by Gloria Allred trying to get these charges against R. Kelly, and then all of a sudden here it is, the third week of March, and she was ready to go to a preliminary hearing on this civil suit. Didn't she know all along that her attorney possibly couldn't represent her? And then was this a suit that had been filed some time ago and it was just now getting on the docket? And she didn't have sense enough to get another attorney. What do you guys think was going on with this story? That's it for me. Go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Give me that thumbs up, okay, if you watched the video and you found this information useful. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye bye.